Hello, everyone! In the previous lesson, we learned about 3 points. 1. Discrimination of both endings of a small 3-phase asynchronous motor. 2. Overview of electric motors. Today, we are going to continue with the assembly and disassembly of a small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. Are you interested in acquiring further understanding about it? In this lesson, we are going to acquire further understanding of the structure and operating principles and other related theories of a motor through disassembling small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. Now, we are going to start with task 6.2. Assembly and disassembly of small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. 1. Task assignment and analysis. In this lesson, we are going to acquire further understanding of the structure and operating principles and other related theories of a motor through an assembly and disassembling small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. 2. Task objective. You are required to master the structure and operating principles of a motor by disassembling a small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. 3. Implementation methods and steps. First of all, disassemble the motor before regular maintenance and repair. So, correct disassembly is a prerequisite for maintenance, a quality guarantee. First of all, we are going to learn disassembly of Part 1 3-phase asynchronous motor. 1. Pre-assembly preparation. 1. Shut the power off. Disconnect the motor from the power and mark the corresponding power cord to avoid a wrong connection later. 2. Get tools for disassembly ready, particularly dedicated tools such as puller and sleeve. 3. Be familiar with the structural characteristics and disassembly essentials of the motor. 4. Measure and record the distance between the coupling or pulley and the plumber block. 5. Mark the phase sequence of the power line in the junction box, the direction of the motor's output shaft, and the direction of the output line on the frame. Next, we'll continue with Part 2 specific operations and precautions. 1. Main technical points for operations. Please pay attention to the assembly and disassembly steps as well as how to clean parts and components and install bearings for a small power 3-phase asynchronous motor. 2. Tools, instruments, and devices. Hammer, copper rod, flat chisel, puller, plunger, 2 kg kerosene, and 0.1 kg sodium-based grease. 3. Operating process. 1. Before disassembling the motor, first use a 2-claw or 3-claw puller to pull down the pulley, and follow steps 1 to 7 for motor disassembly in Figure 6. 2. 1. Then check the bearings and disassemble them if damaged according to steps 9 to 12. The pulling force should be applied to the inner ring of the bearing, not the outer ring. The top of the puller must not damage the center hole of the rotor shaft end. 2. Blow out the dust out of the motor with a plunger, check the integrity of all components of the motor, and then remove oil stains. After cleaning the bearings, wrap them in paper for assembly. 3. Hot sleeve method can be used for bearing assembly, see Figure 6. 2. 3. Heat the bearing in oil, or in a dry heating furnace, to about 100 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes, and then take it out and place it at the designated position on the shaft with a hot sleeve. Do not knock and just place gently, see Figure 6. 2. 4. 4. Cold assembly method for bearings. Use a sleeve to support the inner ring of the bearing and directly tap it with a hammer. See Figure 6. 2. 5. 5. The motor should be assembled in the reverse order of disassembly. When adding sodium-based grease to the bearing, leave 1/3 of the space empty. 4. Safety precautions. 1. When disassembling the rotor, be careful not to damage the stator winding. Red steel cardboard should be used to pad the winding for protection. 2. When the rotor is kept upright, the extension end of the shaft should be protected with wooden boards. 3. Before installing the end cover, a coarse copper wire should be inserted into the bearing assembly hole to hook the bearing cover for assembly of the outer bearing cover. 4. When using the hot sleeve method to sleeve bearings, stop heating and immediately sleeve bearings when the temperature exceeds a threshold value of 100 degrees Celsius. Dry powder fire extinguishers should be placed in the workplace. 5. When disassembling a motor, it is not allowed to directly tap the parts with a hammer. Instead, a copper rod should be used as a pad, and the front cover should be marked accordingly. This lesson is over. Let's review the key points again. Disassembly of three-phase asynchronous motor. 1. Disassembly of three-phase asynchronous motor. 2. Safety precautions for the disassembly of a three-phase asynchronous motor. That concludes this lesson. Thank you, everyone.